Yes, welcome along again to another edition of the West Cork League podcast with me, your host, Ger McCarthy. You can follow me on Twitter at Ger McCarthy74. Delighted to be joined by my usual partner in crime, the PRO of the West Cork League, Mr. Mike Helen. Mike, welcome back again.
Sound, Ger.
How has the week been and how much are you looking forward to this weekend's games?
Yeah, a lot to look forward to in this week's game, especially in the O'Brien Water Championship. I think it's coming to within 2 or 3 games now of the league splitting, so it's going to be very interesting there. We've also got a number of under-19 league games to look forward to, and of course the very important Women's League, the Women's Sevens. So yeah, it's a good weekend for the West Cork League and a lot to look forward to, John.
Yes, as ever, we had a quiet weekend last weekend, of course, because the FAI Cup on Sunday meant no league games anywhere across the country could be played. Drina's Cup game was called off, and then the Saturday night, Lyre Rovers and Dunmanway Town's Premier Division game had to be called off because of the bad weather. But we're looking forward to what is a jam-packed fixture list for the coming weekend, and we start, as you mentioned already, Mike, with the Under-19 West Cork League. Now, it's early days, as I said. Drina Rangers at the top of the table, having won both their games, scored 10 goals and not conceded any, so they're clearly one of the teams to watch. But because it's so early, every fixture basically could throw up a couple of interesting results, and this weekend is no different. Riverside have home advantage for the visit of Drina Rangers at Carberry Park at 10:30 on Saturday. Bunratty host Artfield at 11 o'clock. Bay Rovers are at home to Dunmanway Town and Cahill at 2 o'clock, and Toher Celtic welcome Castleack to the Racefield at 2 o'clock as well. That game at the top of the list, Mike, Riverside and Drina, 2 teams I've already seen in the Under-19 League. Drina obviously are the team to beat. They're playing really good football, look very strong. But if one team might cause them hassle, it could well be Riverside.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, Riverside will be very tough at home. They've played 3 now. I think they've lost 2. So they'll be looking to get a win here, and they could very well do it against Drina Rangers. The 2 clubs now, like Riverside and Drina, they've got Riverside obviously back in the junior scene, but they've got fantastic underage, the same as Drina Rangers, so it's going to be a very, very interesting tie there between the 2 clubs. If you're a betting man, you'd be probably saying Drina Rangers probably have too much for them, but you'll never count Riverside out, especially when they're home and they're looking for the 3 points as well, so it'll be a tough one for Drina.
Yeah, well, another game that catches the eye there is Bay Rovers and Dunmanway. Now, they've each only played once, but Bay Rovers losing out 3-0 in their opening game. Dunmanway should have a good pick of players. They have a good crop of young players playing junior, so that game should produce plenty of goals. And were Dunmanway to win that, then they'd keep pace with Drina at the top of the table.
Yeah, and you know what? It's very similar to what's happening in the Premier Division for the last couple of years. You're looking at the Drina and the Dunmanway now every year. So I played against Dunmanway Town there a couple of weeks ago, and there's some fierce good young fellas out there. But in saying that, over in Bay Rovers, they're focusing big time on the underage over there. Everything they do is underage, and they're doing serious work over there. Bay Rovers not an easy place to travel to. They're always tough at home, but that's another very interesting tie. You look at the Dunmanway Town. They've got a lot of experience now playing junior soccer. A lot of their young fellas, so they may have too much for Bay Rovers. But I'm open to interpretation here. Ger, how do you think this one will go yourself?
Well, having seen the underage structures in both clubs, they're certainly not short goal scorers, and it's one thing. Dunmanway scored 3 in the opening day, Bay lost 3-0, but they've certainly got enough talent coming through in Cahill. Now, they don't have a junior team at the moment in Bay Rovers, so a lot of work and a lot of effort is going into this under-19 setup, because they will be the de facto junior team in a year or 2. So not that there's any pressure on them, but I think that they'll hopefully they want to see them go well before making the step up to junior, because it is a big step up from under-19. When you mention experience and you mention goal scoring, that game between Bunratty United and Artfield should be a good game as well. We've spoken at length about Bunratty's struggles in the top division, obviously because of Gabriel Rangers and because Goleen are no longer involved, unfortunately, in Football Championship. They should have a good sprinkling of players. They've won an awful lot of under 18 cups and leagues in the last couple of years, so Bunratty will be strong. And the fact that they put 6 goals, they scored 6 in their opening game, suggests they should have too much for Artfield. But we've talked a lot about Drina, a lot about Dunmanway, but as ever, that underage setup down in Skull and Bunratty, they could well be a team to watch between here and the end of the season.
Oh yeah, 100%. And not just because they're my neighbours or anything, but Bunratty are always very strong underage. As we spoke about their junior performance at the moment, they're suffering a small bit, but as I said, I had a conversation with Danny McSweeney at the weekend, and he's delighted with young fellas. They mightn't be winning games, but I don't think that's the main focus for them at the moment. They're building below in the town park, and the underage team in Bunratty is high priority there, and they're going to be tough beaten, and they always are in the town park. So it'll be very interesting. I hope the likes of Bunratty. I hope the likes of Bunratty do well this year, because it's very important if they have a good under-19 season. They'll bring that into the junior setup, and they'll get stronger and stronger down in school.
Yep, that's what everyone was hoping for, and they certainly have a good lot of players coming through from their recent under-18 successes. I mentioned that final game involving Toher Celtic and Castleack. On paper, it should be a win for Toher. I've seen them already this year. They were pushed to the pin of their collar by Riverside, but 1-2-1 in the end. Very, very good defensively, while Castleack, very young team, and DJ and Ty Curtin involved there, trying to keep that going. They've played 3 games, they've lost all 3, but they're progressing with each game, and you'd like to see them pick up a couple of points between here and the end of the season, but not this weekend, I don't think, because this Toher team are one of the favourites for the under-19 this year.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's a tough assignment for Castleack away in Toher Celtic. Toher Celtic are very similar now to the likes of Drina Rangers. They have a good underage system. This under-19 team now as you say, is going to be the favourite, so it's a tough assignment for Castleack. But we won't write off Castleack yet. They're a resilient bunch up in Castleack, so let's see what happens there.
Yes, indeed. Let's see what happens. It should be an interesting and intriguing under-19 league between here and the end of the season, as we said. We move on to the West Cork League Lakehouse Beauty Rooms Women's Sevens, and after one round of games, 4 clubs are on 3 points. That's Drina Rangers AFC, Drina Women's, Bear AFC, and the defending League and Cup champions Inter Kinmare. This weekend sees another full fixture list of those games. There was plenty of goals last weekend. I don't doubt that there won't be as many this weekend. The first game that leaps out from that fixture list, and probably the pick of them, is joint top, Beara AFC taking on Inter Kinmare at 2 o'clock on Sunday. Beara's other team, the Beara Women's, will face Bantry Bay Rovers Women's at 3:15. Drina Women's will take on Ulta Celtic at 2 o'clock, and Drina Rangers AFC, a local derby against Dunmanway Town Women's at 3:15. But that first game between Beara AFC and the defending champions Inter Kinmare were lucky to come away with a 1-0 win the last day, Mike, and if they're looking to defend their title, they are going to be tested by what, by all accounts, is a very, very good Beara team.
Yeah, and I suppose in a way it's a local derby between the two of them. But as you said, they were lucky to come out with a 1-0 win. The Beara FC women know that they'll be a tough assignment for Inter Kinmare. It'll be a very, very interesting one to see how Inter Kinmare come out with this one. You look at another fixture there as well. I'm looking at Drina Rangers AFC women's versus Dunmanway Town women. That'll be a very, very tough tie as well. It'll be hard to see who'll come out of there. But very interesting. It's great to see the interest back into the women's game now, Ger, and we need a lot more people coming out supporting the women's teams, and to get everyone involved, lads, daughters, girlfriends, whatever, get them all involved, because soccer's great. It's a great interest in West Cork.
Yeah, and in fairness to the West Cork League Committee and yourself, Mike, you've done an awful lot to promote women's football over the past number of years. The first step is obviously to get as many women playing as possible, and they've done that now by expanding to 8 teams. And having 8 teams as well is very important, because there's no off weekend for anybody involved. There's no odd number, and there's both a league and a cup to play for between here and the end of the year.
Yeah, and I suppose credit has to go to when we talk about the West Cork League Committee. I suppose you're talking about Ian McConnelly and John Buckley, they're the lads who are doing most of the work for the women's, but we have to think about the individual teams as well, and the people that are looking after the clubs and organising things on the inside of clubs. So there's a lot of work involved from everyone, but it's well worth it. And there's still more teams that come into play here. We've got an area around the Mizzen, Skull, Ballyhob and Doris. definitely can get a team there if we can just, get people to organise it. So there is more teams to come in. But yeah, everyone has to put in the hard shift now and get women's soccer back on the map.
Yep, and let's hope it continues to go from strength to strength. The opening round of games were of a high quality and plenty of goals, and no reason to expect nothing less again this coming weekend. We'll be reviewing all those matches and the goal scorers, of course, in next week's podcast. Right, we move on to the O'BrienWaterServices.com Championship, or probably one of our favourite topics on this podcast, I'd say it's safe to say, since we started it up. A full fixture list of games for the weekend. I'll just run through them quickly. On Sunday, 10th of November, Baltimore are at home to Castletown Celtic at 11 o'clock. In the Baltimore Road. Salan welcome Drina Rangers B to Ballavourney, also at 11 o'clock. Ulta Celtic take on Mizzen with a 2:30 kick-off. Dunmanway Town B and Spartak Musgrove meet at 2:30 in Mona. And Riverside Athletic have home advantage for the visit of Castleack at 2:30. As it stands going into the weekend with 8 games played, Spartak Musgrove sit top of the table with 19 points and a goal difference of plus 20. Very impressive. Riverside are in second, 2 points behind. Kilbrittain third, a further 4 points behind. Mizzen AFC sit in 4th place on 14 points, but have a game in hand on the leaders. And remember, once everybody has played each other once, the O'BrienWaterServices.com Championship splits. The top 6 play out for both the O'Brien Water Services Championship trophy and promotion to the Premier Division, while the bottom 6 play out for Division 2 League trophy. So even if you're in the bottom half at the moment, there's still an awful lot to play for in the second half of the season. Mike, I guess there's really only one place to start. The leaders, Spartak Musgrove, they've been playing some brilliant football. They've only lost once in 8 outings. They've scored 31 goals, but they go to a Dunmanway Town B team with enough quality within it to cause an upset. So this could be a tricky one on Sunday for the leaders.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with that. They're Spartak at the moment. They're a powerhouse. They're a powerhouse in even when they're in the Premier Division. They're always a really sticky team to play. They're tough lads in Newstown. But as I said, there'll be a challenge in Dunmanway. Dunmanway B now have a lot of good young players, and they have full of confidence in Dunmanway. So it'll be an interesting tie there. If you're looking at Spartak Musgrove, I think they've only 3 games left to play. They have, as we said, they've Dunmanway Town. They have 2 away games and one home game. So there are 2 away games with Dunmanway B and Riverside Athletic, and their home game is against Castleack. So it's going to be interesting how they get on against Dunmanway B. If they beat Dunmanway B, they could have a clean sweep towards the end of the season and be champions of the championship.
Yeah, by all accounts, they are the best footballing team in the division. I know there's a lot of very, very good teams in there. You've got Kilbrittain, you've got Mizzen, you've got Salan. But if you're scoring 31 goals and you're only conceding a measly 11, you must be doing something right. And they're probably going to be even stronger now with the GA players returning over the past couple of weeks. Yeah,
100%. Yeah, they did very well to keep the momentum going without the Newcestown GA lads. I hate to think what they're like now with the GA boys back. They've been back the last couple of weeks of them now. So yeah, they're going to be a serious team next season in the Premier Division. I suppose, look, the only good thing for the lads up in the Premier Division, whoever finishes number 7, at least they know that they won't have Spartak in it, so that's a plus for that team. But yeah, they're going very well. They'll be back up next season, and they'll push every team next season in the Premier Division, that's for sure.
Yeah, looking forward to the end. Like with 3 games to go, you would imagine Spartak are all but assured of finishing the top 6, but a chance to win and a chance to come out on top of the division is something they'll be looking for. Now, 3rd place Kilbrittain Rovers are not playing this weekend, but that gives Riverside Athletic, who are 2 points ahead of them, they should have too much firepower for Castleack, who've only won once so far this season at home. But that game between Ulta Celtic and 4th place Mizzen, it's certainly not a given for the visitors on Sunday, because Ulta are always tough at home, and even though they've only won once, much like Castleack, they're still quite a solid outfit, and if they've got their full strength team out, Mizzen will need to be at their best, Mike, to get anything out of that.
They will. Mizzen will have to be at the best against Ulta Celtic. I think Ulta Celtic beat Doris at home this year in a Parkway Cup tie, so it shows that when they get their act together, they can be a very, very tough team to play. But in saying that, Mizzen now are fully concentrating on their soccer, seeing that their GA season is over. So they're going to be a very tough outfit now for Alta Celtic. Mizzen have a game in hand over Kilbritton. And if you're looking at Mizzen's next few fixtures, they've got 2 games at home, one against Castleac and one against Dunmanway Townby, and their away games are against Alta Celtic and Kilbritton. So, Mizzen, I'd fancy Mizzen to get a lot of points in those fixtures. So things are looking good for the Mizzen side. It'd be great to see the likes of Mizzen go up to the Premier Division for first time in a long time. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see how the boys get on.
Indeed, it will. 2 very good teams. They're 2 very experienced teams, but with Mizzen's on the cusp of finishing in the top 6 and possibly going up, they'll look to take all 3 points from that. The final game, or one of the final games we're going to talk about as well, Baltimore, the Crabs, at home to Castletown Celtic. Castletown Celtic finally on the board now with 2 wins and 3 draws. Time is running out for them if they're looking to finish in the top half of the table, whereas Baltimore having 2 games in hand on the teams ahead of them, home advantage on Sunday. This really is a 6-pointer for both teams.
Yes, it is. I think Baltimore were not favourites, but I think they were my pick to get into the top 6 jar, I think, weren't they?
No, but I'll say, yeah, go on.
Yeah, I think they were. So, they have Castleac and Kilbritton at home in their remaining games, and they have Alta Celtic away, I think. So, yeah, look, if Baltimore have their full team out with all Ireland Rovers lads, with Dan McCone and Shawnee Donovan firing, they'll be hard stopped. I'd fancy Baltimore to beat Castletown Celtic at home the weekend, and their fixture against Kilbritton in a couple of weeks' time will be a tougher tie for them. But it's looking good for Baltimore if they can get the win over Castletown the weekend.
Yeah, that should be a good game, especially on such a good pitch as well in the Baltimore Road. Castletown Celtic an opportunity to pull one over on Baltimore, but Baltimore have games in hand, but 3 points would go a long way to pushing them towards the top 6. And speaking of the top 6, the final game we're going to talk about in the O'Brien Water Services Championship this coming weekend is a cracker, because it is Salan at home to Drina Rangers B. 2 sides having played 9 games each and 3 points separating them in the table. I've been talking up Drina Rangers B, Mike, for quite a while now, but they are struggling surprisingly to score goals. They've only scored 11 times this year, albeit having one of the best defensive records in the league with only 14 conceded. But if Salan have aspirations to finish in the top 6 and maybe even higher, this is a game they cannot afford to lose.
No, they can't afford to lose, especially at home. As you said, Drina B are struggling to find the net, so it could be a very, very tough assignment for Drina B up in Salan. But if Salan wants to get into the 3rd and 4th playoffs at the end of the season, they have to be meeting Drina Rangers B at home at the weekend. So, there's no pressure on Salan, obviously, but they have to win the job.
Very subtle altogether of you there, but that wraps up our O'Brien Water Services Championship preview. We'll be reviewing all the games and the goal scorers, of course, next week, so make sure you tune in for that. There are no PremierHighSpecCars.com Premier Division games this weekend, but there are 2 clubs involved in FAI and Munster Junior Cup. Drina Rangers rearranged second round Munster Junior Cup tie against Kilreen Celtic will take place at Cannon Crawley Park on Sunday at 2 o'clock. That's because last weekend's game was rained off in Kilreen, and Drina Rangers now gain home advantage. A big plus point for Declan Deasy and Don Hurley's team, Mike, and on home soil you'd be expecting them to come through.
Yeah, you would. You'd be expecting Drina to win any game at home, really. They're a fierce outfit at home, and they'll be looking forward to it as well. So, Kilreen Celtic, as I spoke in last week's podcast, they're not going great in their own league at the moment. They're the last 2 or 3 games, so it'll be a tough place to go, Drina Rangers. Let's hope Drina Rangers get the win, and let's hope that they match on to the next round. Indeed, and same goes for Dunmanway Town, who have now reached the 4th round of the FAI Junior Cup, but they are away to Fermoy on Sunday with a 2 o'clock kickoff. Been going well in the Cups, haven't played an awful lot of league games, not conceding many goals, Mike, but scoring seems to have been a bit of a problem, which is surprising considering the attacking talent they have. A tough one for Dunmanway, but not an impossible task. No, it's not an impossible task. And Dunmanway, I like this fixture, they're doing fierce well all together. And they're a credit to the West Cork League in fairness, getting into the 4th round of the FAI Junior Cup. They're on a great run. Defensively, they're solid. as you just said there, they've got a great partnership there in centre half, and their midfield does very well as well when they have to defend. Going forward, they have Mark Buckley and Carl Daly. Rhys Coakley in the wing is a class act. When they get on, when they're on a good pitch, they're a different team. The likes of Rhys Coakley on the left wing now cause a lot of damage for my. If Carl Daly gets into the game with Mark Buckley, they could do anything, and I wouldn't be surprised if they came out with the win. Yeah,
all the best to Drina and Dunmanway in their cup games at the weekend. We'll be reviewing those as well in next week's podcast, but let's hope that West Cork League, they fly the West Cork flag for the West Cork League as best they possibly can, and hopefully both of them progress. Speaking of Dunmanway and Drina, they were involved in a Twitter poll that I put up on my Twitter account, which is at Ger McCarthy 74. I put it up late last week, and the simple question: who will win the 2019-2020 West Cork League Premier HighSpecCars.com Premier Division? The options were Drina, Clonakilty Town, Dunmanway Town, and another club. Now, over 250 people voted, and at the end of it, Dunmanway Town surprisingly got 16% of the vote. Clonakilty Town got 20% of the vote. Another club got nearly a quarter; they got 24%. But unsurprisingly, Mike, Drina Rangers, the clear favourites, 40% of the vote of the 250 people that voted think Drina Rangers are going to go on and win the Premier Division. Would you agree?
I don't necessarily agree with it. Now, Don Hurley won't be happy with the poll, and I know that for a fact, right? And the next time he speaks to, he'll tell you that straight out. But I don't agree in the Dunmanway Town percentages, because they have a lot of games to play in the league. The one that was interesting for me was Clantown's percentages. They may be looking at Clantown's games. I think the majority of Clantown remaining fixtures are at home. They have Bunratty at home, Treen at home, Dunmanway at home, Doris at home. Now they've got a couple of tough fixtures there away with Ballyhob and Torres Celtic. But maybe people are looking at their home fixtures, and Clonakilty Town, when they have a full strength team, I wouldn't rule them out at all. But it's interesting. It's interesting who the other team is, Ger. Who do you think the other team is?
Yeah, I'm presuming it's Ballyhob, or may.
It has to be Ballyhob. I know. I'm only messing. I'd say the other team is like the between Ballyhob, Doris, Lawyer, and Ballyhob, Doris, Lawyer, and Toher. It's going to be very tight between those four teams. So I don't personally think the other team will come in there, but Drina Rangers are on fire this year, but I would not write off the Dunmanway Town. I think the Dunmanway Town are in the long grass there. They'll be looking at they have a lot of games to play, and they'll be right up there at the end of the season.
Yeah, and look, knowing the West Cork League as you and I know it so well, I have a fair. I would imagine that the majority of Clonakilty Town voted for Drina, the majority of Drina voted for Dunmanway, and the majority of Dunmanway voted vice versa. I would, if I could, I'd put another couple of clubs in there, but you're only allowed 4 on Twitter at the moment on the poll. I think, even though you're going to downplay it, Ballyhob are a real threat, and I say that because I've seen them when they hit top gear. They're very, very hard to stop up front. They have just so many different attacking weapons coming at you from different sides, and the consistency is the only thing that's missing. But there's plenty time and plenty twists and turns left in this league between now and the end of the season, when Ballyhob can still push into that top 2 and top 3, if not into the top place itself. I know I tipped Drina Rangers, and a lot of people seem to be agreeing with me on the poll, but I also would admit that it's going to be very, very tight. Those games in hand are crucial for Dunmanway, but they've got to go and win them. Clonakilty Town have a lot of home games, as you said, but in this league, does it really matter whether you're home or away coming into the closing stretch, because everybody needs to win anyway? It really is. I'm not going to say it directly that it's Drina's to throw away yet. It's too early to say that. But if Drina keep going with the consistent level that they're playing at the moment, if they keep defending and keep getting clean sheets the way they're going, it's going to be very, very difficult to stop them.
It is, and I suppose when you mentioned Ballyhob, I'll let you take off my Ballyhob hat here. It completely depends on their away games, because they've got 4 games at home against Bunratty, Clantown, and Doris and Lawyer. Okay, so I could actually see Ballyhob picking up quite a lot of points in their home games, but they've got 3 away games that's 3 in Rangers, Dunmanway Town and Toher. They're 3 tough away games. So if they can pick up a few points away on the road, then they could be there towards the end of the season. Speaking in Doris have quite tough fixtures coming in. They've got Bunratty at home, Dunmanway at home, and they're on the road then away to Ballyhob, Clontown and Lyre. So it's going to be very tough road for all guys as well. But look, it's too early, as you said, it's too early to write off anyone. We can't necessarily say that it's dreamers to throw away. It's too early, but it will be a cracker. It'll be a great finish on both sides of the table. I think on top and the bottom, it'll be very exciting this year.
Indeed it will. That's what makes the West Cork League so entertaining, as you said, not just in the Premier HighSpecCars.com Premier Division, not just in the O'Brien Water Services Championship or the West Cork Lake House Beauty Rooms Women's Sevens Under 19 League. You just don't know what's going to happen. There will be twists, there will be turns, and I'm pretty certain that both of the top male adult divisions are going to go right to the final weekend of the season, which is what you want. That's before we start to talk about the Beamish Cup and all the other cup draws which are being made later this week. We'll be reviewing those cup draws in the next edition of our West Cork League podcast episode. And once again, can I take the opportunity to thank everybody that's been kind enough to get in touch with some positive feedback. A lot of people are very happy with the podcast so far and are happy that we're consistently bringing it week after week. Even more so now that you can download the podcast onto your device from Spotify or Podbean. We are also available on the westcorkleague.com's YouTube page. Just go to youtube.com and search for West Cork League. And remember, you can follow the West Cork League every week, every day on westcorkleague.com, where all the results and fixtures and tables are there for you to look at. Facebook.com/West Cork League is also a good spot to see how all the other league clubs are getting on, reports and pictures from different various games. And on Twitter, you'll find the West Cork League at West Cork League. That's another West Cork League podcast in the can. Delighted as ever to have Mike Hillen with me. Mike, thanks for your company. We'll have a lot to review next week on a much longer show, as well as cup draws, so we're looking forward to that already.
Yeah, good stuff, Ger. Thanks, William.
Thank you, Mike. And remember, if you like what you're listening to, go to youtube.com and hit the subscribe button, and you can get every new episode directly to your smart device. But we're available now on Spotify, where you can download each episode and listen at your leisure. Same with Podbean. Again, thanks very much for all the positive feedback. Big show next week. A lot to get through. A lot of cup draws, a lot of results. We wouldn't have it any other way. See you next week.